am delighted to participate in today's session of the Queen's Speech debate on the theme of safe and affordable housing for all, which I will come to in just a moment. But it has to be said that the Government's plan outlined last week was a bit of a damp squib. It was, in terms of the challenges faced by our constituents, pretty much a non-event, and indeed contained proposals which caused some alarm as well. There was nothing about using the levers this Parliament has, which devolved governments don't have, to tackle issues like child poverty, or even commit to the very modest ask to retain the £20 per week universal credit uplift. In contrast, the Scottish Government is using its limited powers to double the Scottish child payment to tackle child poverty. Plans for social care seem to have come to naught, whilst in Scotland the Scottish Government seeks to establish a national care service for Scotland. Despite all the hand-wringing from this Government, there was no action on fire and rehire, as set out in the bill brought forward by my honourable friend, the member for Paisley and Renfrewshire North. Whilst the UK Government continues to throw its hands in the air over this very serious issue, the Scottish Government will review the Fair Work First criteria for contracts and government support grants to include specific references to fire and rehire tactics, whilst we continue to press for employment law to be devolved to Scotland's Parliament where it rightfully belongs. Moreover, the absence of an employment bill is very disappointing, not least because it means the Government has decided to do nothing about exploitative unpaid work trials, just as it refused to back the bill brought forward by my honourable friend, the member for Glasgow South. In addition, I and others in this place had some hope that the inclusion of statutory paid bereavement leave for all, an idea whose time has come as we work towards a post-pandemic world, reminding us of all the crushing loss that grief can inflict on us and which, as a society, we would do well to give better recognition to. We had hoped that this could be put on a legislative basis. All of these hopes to improve the lives of hard-working people across the UK have been dashed in this rather empty programme for government. And all of this, Mr Deputy Speaker, is before we come to the fact that the Government's programme is set to deregulate and privatise wherever it can. The Procurement Bill, which will seek to privatise Scotland's NHS, not by the back door but increasingly by the front door, is an act of legislative aggression against the express wishes of the people of Scotland, all taking place in the teeth of amendments put forward by the SNP during the Trade Bill to protect Scotland's NHS. We continue to see the narrative of the democratic outrage committed against Scotland that was started by the Internal Market Bill. And then we come to the so-called Electoral Integrity Bill for compulsory ID by 2023, which will suppress voter participation. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, I fear that may be the intention. Indeed, without my own parliamentary pass, I too would be excluded from participating in voting for elections alongside 3.5 million other citizens. It seems that maintaining electoral integrity demands that a huge number of voters be excluded from voting. Well, I suppose, Mr Deputy Speaker, it's easier to speak of integrity by crushing the suffrage rights of those who don't have photo ID and coincidentally may be less likely to vote Tory, than it is to do anything meaningful to tackle the murky world of political lobbying, as set out in a bill brought forward by my honourable friend, the honourable member for Midlothian. If there is a desire to protect the integrity of our politics, would that not be a better place to start? Nor are there any measures to deal with dark money, which is yet another very real danger to electoral integrity. Folk will no doubt wish to speculate as to why nothing is being done to properly tackle these things. It would indeed be laughable were it not so very serious and dangerous to our democratic system.